Europe, the restoration of historical buildings plays a significant role in the context of the circular economy, especially in a time when concerns about the consumption of buildable land are on the rise. This practice, advocated by experts such as Professor Maria Vitiello, involves the preservation and recovery of existing buildings rather than the construction of new structures. The issue of integrating ecological principles into this process has been raised by Professor Vitiello. Restoration and conservation share a common vision based on sustainability, aiming to preserve architectural heritage and the environment for future generations. The research focuses on the theme of recycling in architecture and sustainable choices in the context of renovations. It explores the use of materials from ancient buildings and the opportunity to breathe new life into discarded materials that have lost their original function. This approach allows for a comparison of current practices with those of the past, paving the way for a better understanding of recycling's application in contemporary architecture and renovation. The winning approach for an effective circular economy in construction lies in optimizing the use of recycled materials and building fewer new structures, instead focusing on extending the life of existing buildings. This way, resource consumption and environmental impact are reduced. An interesting reference point is the medieval era, when the reuse of materials was regulated by laws that did not consider the original function of the materials but rather their availability. This approach could provide further insights for promoting the circular economy in the construction sector.
The work we want to present is the restoration of the Annunziatella Church, located in the historic center of Jurasia, Calabria. This restoration was preceded by a thorough preliminary study that led to an understanding of the materials used in the medieval constructions of Jurasia's historic center. The aim of the study was to identify materials, construction techniques, and common elements characteristic of the architectural culture of that era, providing a solid foundation for an approach to restoration based on material reuse and reconditioning. The Church of S. Teodoro Annunziatella features a single-nave architectural design, a style that originated in the Mediterranean regions within the Byzantine Empire from the 8th century onwards. It was constructed atop an existing necropolis dating back to the 11th century and underwent various modifications throughout its history, ultimately resulting in its abandonment due to damage from the 1783 earthquake.
In the phase of masonry and missing stone reintegration, preliminary analyses were conducted on the mortars found in the church. A granulometric analysis allowed for the use of the same granulometry as the existing mortars, but traditional aggregates were added to the crushed stone to provide greater strength to the mortars and make the intervention recognizable. Another study enabled the identification of the origins of materials used in the construction of the historic center. All possible sources of supply were examined, including occasional quarries that served a broad surrounding area. In particular, it was revealed that the rocky mass on which the center is built has layers of varying consistency. Calcaire quarries were identified in various locations in the territory of Gerace, consisting of truncated cone-shaped cavities where nearby extracted stones were fired. Quarries for sand extraction for use in plaster were also identified, where the material had to be scraped from the rock wall to obtain a carbonate rock sand that would aid in the binding action of the lime putty. In the Borgo Maggiore of Gerace's historic center, many clay quarries were identified. To this day, workshops of potters known as gli argagnari still exist, who transform clay to create jars, carousels for vault construction, roof tiles, and drainage channels for rainwater. In recent years, Gerace has initiated professional ceramics courses for young people, with the intention of preserving this ancient and captivating craft for future generations. Given the high seismic risk in Calabria, the conservative restoration of Annunziatella aimed to balance historical and aesthetic aspects with structural improvements against earthquakes, all within the context of repurposing the building. Research revealed a strong correlation between structural damage and the construction techniques used in the masonry. The historical context, masonry analysis, damage assessment, and the effectiveness of previous interventions, along with an understanding of Gerace's traditional construction practices, guided the consolidation of masonry and roof enhancements. The primary goal was to ensure the safety of the church for its use as a small Byzantine museum. The conservative restoration of Annunziatella has had a profound impact on the cultural heritage of the Calabria region. It has introduced a systemic approach, starting with the development of innovative, eco-friendly, and smart materials with exceptional technical qualities. This initiative is now inspiring other restoration projects.